become the top 1% of investors in Australia. And why is that so important? Now, I know when you're starting out investment, you think, look, I just want to get some investments under my belt. I just actually want to start my journey. You don't even think about being the top 1%. But why is the top 1% better than the rest of the 99%? Well, firstly, it's better opportunities, better stock. The value growth of stock of your property, when I say stock, I meant your property deal, exponentially, and you start to build on the cash flow. So how do you become the top 1%? It is actually about being savvy and smart, right? So one of the fundamental mistakes that investors make, and this really puts them down to the bottom of the list when they start out, is that they start to not build a team, right? They listen to their parents, they listen to their friends, they listen to their uncles, they go to their bosses because they think they're successful, right? But when you look at the average accountant, the financial planner, and the lawyers out there, they haven't done it. In fact, when you look at most property investors who are running a YouTube video or a channel here on YouTube, you'll realize they actually don't have their own property portfolio, right? Let alone a massive commercial property portfolio like myself, right? Who built $10 million in the first 5 years of investing in commercial property and then continue to build, currently having well over 20 commercial properties, 52 tenants, and keeps going, right? We keep selling, buying, recycling the properties, uplift, because it's about finger on the pulse, and half of these gurus out there don't have their fingers on the pulse. And this is why I'm telling you, how do you become the top 1%? It's actually following a proven system, but also having people behind you. That is the people who are your legal team, your due diligence team, your structuring, which is your financing team, plus your strategist, someone like myself, your building, if you needed to build, all of those people behind you to support you and push you through that journey. Now, what is the benefit of being the 1%? Well, of course, when you look at business class, first class versus economy, we know that the top 1% gets the best of everything. And now we want opportunities to come to you. And when you're the top 1%, one of the big things that why the rich gets richer is opportunity. They get more opportunity than anyone else. And how do you get there? The number one thing is foundation knowledge. I know you say, I am so busy, I don't have time to learn, but you're watching this video, so you want to learn, you want to know, and congratulations, you're already ahead of the game, people, because you're here watching this video because you want to learn more and you're not watching cats play with a ball or kids shooting dart guns at each other, right? So you're listening to investment because you want to move forward. Now, if you want to move forward, become the 1%, you need to look at diverse portfolios. So you need to look at residential and commercial, plus looking at maybe potentially shares, crypto, and everything else as a peripheral around it, right? To become the top 1%, you have to balance your commercial with residential. Why do you say that? Is because when you start out, you're going to have residential property. The fundamentals of residential is that it is a growth game. Don't mistake it as that you can be cash flow, because $50,000 when you start out and you buy maybe a property in regional, it ain't gonna make you $50,000 in positive cash flow, right? But what that property can do, if you can refurbish that property and bring that value of $250 to $350, it could allow you to buy again, right? The most important thing with residential is, remember, it's a growth game, and don't always look at it as the lazy investor that you can sit back, watch it whole, and that'll be fine. No. That does not work for residential property. You gotta be active. So you buy a property, you either knock it down, build the duplex if you're in metro, or if you're regional, it's got to be buying a dump, refurbishment, pull out that equity or sell and do it again. You got to continuously be really active in your residential field. You got to be really active in your residential field, because that is where you start to pull out more and more deposits, right? It gets to a point though where it becomes exhausting, because land value has come up, building cost has come up, wages has come up, it becomes unaffordable, and the margins get shrunk really low, so you're not able to make that margin, right? So that's when you actually switch to commercial. But in the meantime, you should be doing your residential, creating the uplift, taking that money out, putting that money into set and forget commercials until the time where residential has run out of steam. When residential run out of steam, you now switch to commercial and you do commercial property uplifts, right? The best way for investors, and this is really fundamental to creating wealth, is you have to navigate and savvy around, right? Savvy around whether you are doing your commercial, your residential, your shares. You've got to savvy around, because when the market is good for commercial, you do commercial. When the market is good for residential, you do residential. When the market is good for crypto, for shares, you do that, right? You have to be savvy and you have to know it all, right? But the reason that you can get there is when you accumulate, you uplift that equity in residential and you put it into commercial property, right? You build yourself a cash flow base. So that's the number one thing. So while you're doing this, maybe for the first 3 to 5 years when you're young, you're doing this, you're siphoning some money, not all of it, part of it, into commercial. Even if there might be small properties, you're building the cash flow base. Now, when you're ready to switch to the uplift, you've got a cash flow base already. You'll refinance against your commercial and you put it into a commercial uplift where you can make 20 to 40% growth or return on investment on your commercial property uplift, sometimes as much as 60% or 80%, depending on what you put in, right? So this is a proven strategy. And how do you then get to the 1%? Well, really, when you look at the statistics, 80% of the population in Australia owns 1 to 2 investment properties, right? Anyone above that, we're already in the 5% range, right? But for you, it's more about cash flow. If you earn over $250,000 a year, you're already hitting toward the top 1%, right? If you're in $400,000 a year, that's in fact what the Prime Minister earns. You're already at the 1%, right? In order to do that, you need commercial property, right? Ultimately, residential property is not going to get you there, but a 10% cash on cash return, which is $4 million unencumbered in commercial property, will get you $400,000 in passive income. Now, you're not going to get your 10% cash on cash from day one, but you're going to grow it over time, right? To become that 1%, and you will continue to grow, right? But $4 million can leverage yourself into a $10 million portfolio in commercial property. Now, how you build that can be done in the space of, let's say if you had $4 million equity today in your properties, it can be done in the space of 12 to 24 months. But if you don't, this is a 5 to 7 year journey. Now, that 5 to 7 year journey, you have no time to lose. You need someone to map that out for you. And luckily here at Unikorn Commercial Property, Helen Tarrant's team, we can help you do that. We have been working in the commercial space since 2016 with everyday Australians just like yourself on how to become wealthy through commercial property. We're the founding members in the commercial property field on education, and also we have one of the largest investor groups in Australia for commercial property. But one of the fundamental key things we understand is how someone starts out with nothing and build a huge portfolio for retirement in commercial property. And there's a specific formula and a system, and we can help you get there through planning, education, mentorship, a team that supports you, and proper strategies and profiling of your properties to get you there, right? So therefore, if you want to reach out to us, helentarrant.com, unikorn.com.au, link below, click in to book in for a free strategy session, right? And where we can map this out for you personally. But on a different note, to get to 1%, right, you need to do your residential with your commercial. But when you switch to commercial and you're starting to do commercial uplift, that's where you start to become a real professional in the industry. And when you become a real professional in the industry in that area, it starts to hit home, right? Because every time you do, you start to roll faster, right? So let's say you do the first property and you're only starting out with 200,000 or 300,000. You make the 200,000 or 300,000, 450,000, right? Now you can siphon away 150 and put it away to a seven-figure commercial, or you can take your $455 million property, make it 1.3 million, right? Now you have, instead of 450,000, you have 650,000, right? Now 650,000 becomes a 1.3 property that you can make a 1.6 or 1.7 million property, right? So eventually you grow yourself to $1 million base, right? This is the big goal. $1 million base allows you to do so many things. It allows you to do residential, allows you to do commercial. But with commercial, that allows you to go up to 2.5 million. So allows you to look at undervalued properties anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 million, and that's where you actually want to sit, right? So you need to bulk up your deposit, and in this space and the journey of bulking up that deposit, you do need definitely someone to help you strategize, pick the right properties, and help you formalize behind you all the agreements and legals to make sure that you're in it at the right price, you've got the right tenants coming in, the right leases, and people to support you with the strategy should something go wrong. So on that note, if this has been helpful, right, to become the 1%, it's absolutely possible within the next 3, 5, or 10 years for you to do that, depending on how much you get started. If you have 0, which means that you've got a couple of properties, but you just haven't started your journey, that length to become the top 1% is going to be a 10-year journey. If you already have properties now and you've got equity, then that journey could be 5 years. Now, if you have a lot of equity, especially in residential, and you are in a professional job and you just want to go for it because you're 3 to 5 years with retirement, 3 years of active investment will get you there. Now, how do we know? Because we've done it for everyday Australians, just like yourself, and high net worth individuals who are also looking for a pathway to retirement. And we've helped countless people, whether you're doctors, specialists, partners in a law firm, or you're a truck driver, right? Or even if you are a stay-at-home mum who is helping your husband to invest, we absolutely have the strategy for you. Now, become the 1%. The best thing that you get, and I know this, is that you get the best opportunity. So you get the best properties, especially those properties that they need a stress sale, because people know you can buy. They give you a stress sale. Properties of high cash flow at the moment because they desperately need someone to take it over, because they might have a project go bad and they need that to sell. So you get the opportunity. Key locations, you get offered a key location. You get off-market deals offered to you before it hits the market. And that's one of the big advantages about Unikorn Commercial Property, is we're the largest community in Australia of commercial property investors, which means we get first-hand deals because the agents know that we have so many active investors and they're ready to buy, right? So if you want the hand-holding to get you to the 1%, the strategy, the blueprint, the pathway, reach out to us, book the strategy call below, check out helentarrant.com, unikorn.com.au, join one of our events, buy the cashed up book, because that is going to be a definitive guide on commercial property and how to invest in the simplest form, and also tune into our other videos. I look forward to helping you in your commercial property journey and creating wealth together.